Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Jatin. I am the North America Marketing Manager for Kellton Tech. Thank you for joining us for our webinar taking the first step to SAP S/4HANA, an intelligent ERP solution. This webinar is first in our webinar series on business transformation with SAP S/4HANA. The webinar series will help you assess your current systems and processes maturity with respect to S/4HANA and find the right roadmap for your S/4HANA journey. We will be sending out regular invites for the upcoming webinars in this series and would also request you to please follow Kelton Tech on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for regular updates and technology insights. Before we get started, I need to go over a little bit of housekeeping. Should you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A section of your control panel and we will address them at the end of the webinar. If we do not have time to respond to your questions live, we will respond to them via email. As a reminder, this session is being recorded. We will also be sending a link to the recording and the slide deck in the next few days. But before we get started on today's topic, I would like to provide you with a brief corporate overview. Kelton Tech has been a pioneer of digital transformation for the past decade with operations in North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Our clients range from startups to Fortune 500 companies with the core strength supported through our ISO 9001 certification and CMMI Level 5 compliance. We are a 1500 plus employee strong and a publicly traded company. Kelton Tech is a new age global IT services consulting company. We design, develop, and operate digital technologies that create new business models for our clients. Next slide, please. Our digital services cross six major pillars. Digital transformation. Our digital services span social, mobile, analytics, and cloud-based solutions. Digital integration provides integration services in support of your digital systems. Digital enterprise enables intelligent enterprises by leveraging end-to-end SAP solutions as an SAP Gold partner. Outsource product development and support services. Digital commerce and marketing delivers omnichannel e-commerce solutions focused on improving the overall customer experience and IoT-enabled platform solutions specifically for the oil and gas and manufacturing industries. Also, we are a SAP Gold partner, a SAP Certified Partner Center of Expertise, and a certified AWS SAP on AWS solution service provider. I am honored to have with me today Dr. Srinivas Bandi, Vice President Digital Enterprises and Head S4HANA Center of Excellence at Kellton Tech. Dr. Bandi comes with 16 plus years of rich experience in SAP best practices and adopting SAP standard processes with a focus on minimizing or customization. A doctorate in business studies, Dr. Bandi has vast experience demonstrating SAP S4HANA capabilities and addressing unique business requirements via delivering prototypes and helping clients draw maximum business value from their SAP investments. Now I will hand it over to Dr. Bandi to begin our official webinar discussion on taking the first step to SAP S/4HANA and intelligent ERP solution. Over to you, Dr. Bandi.
Thanks, Jatin. Really appreciate that. Good, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whichever part of the world. Yeah, thanks for joining this webinar. This is first in the series. We are planning to do a few more, and we would be covering today in this particular webinar a brief agenda I would like to narrate. The business transformation, we all know transformation is the order of the day. Business transformation or industry transformation is fast changing, and we have to catch up with it, and we have to have a inside and outside look, so 360-degree view of that and how things are changing. And that's very, very important to get into how the whole market scenario and the ecosystem is shaping up. Then we have to be cognizant of the current scenario. COVID-19 has a disruptor. In fact, it has the number one disruptor and enabler of the digital transformation. Whoever were postponing the digital transformation related initiatives, they've been nudged, and there are organizations and people who have to adhere to some of the digital transformation tools. So how it is happening, and is SAP coping with that? What would be the future? So there are a lot of questions. So I have just one slide. Recently, I attended an IDC webinar sponsored by SAP. So I thought it would be a good point to share some of the insights that are coming from IDC. Then S4HANA is the intelligent ERP of SAP. Typically, people have questions latent in their mind that what is that this my ECC ERP can't do that S4HANA is promising or can do. So that's a question we can address. And then what are the opportunities? If I'm already on SAP ECC, am I a good candidate for conversion? Am I a good candidate for greenfield or new implementation? Can I do a landscape transformation? How can I have my data? Can I go by certain processes? All that we will be able to discuss briefly. Then the next is that how can we as Kellton, as a system integrator, can help some of the customers at crossroads. Then I thought it will be a good thing to really share some decent insights on S4HANA on-premise, which is now called as Any-Premise 2020 highlights. I'll not be giving the whole laundry list. Probably I'll be giving you opportunity to look at certain things, because today if you do a search, you don't find a lot of information available in the other than SAP websites or portals. And that's could be a reason for people not to really paying attention and going through. So there is a lot of information, and SAP is very, very open in terms of providing the source of information and enabling it, because COVID-19 also pushing people to upskill and cross-skill. So skill development, upgrading the skills is order of the day, and everybody is concerned, are paying attention, probably making baby steps to really see what additional skills that we can develop. So that's the opportunity that I would like to take and cover that. So net, I'll be in the next 45 minutes, I'll be talking about this. And then last 10 minutes, we can have a Q&A. However, in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can please type in to the Q&A section, and at the appropriate time, I'll step in and try address that. If we are not able to address it now, if there are too many questions, we'll definitely get back to you. So rest assured that this session, the next 50 minutes or 55 minutes will be really fruitful, and hopefully you will understand a few more and learn a few things. So with that intro, I'm getting into the business transformation. You might have seen this slide, and of late it is getting a lot of attention from industries, and the simple mention is that industry cannot escape transformation, and they're all susceptible to the changes that are happening in the ecosystem. So people are looking for trusted products, people are looking for work-related education and work relationship. There is a circular economy, and everything and anything is looped in, and nothing is outside of the loop, and everything is a circular one, and there is a ramification and an impact, and the domino effect is there. Cities are also changing, and future cities would like to be good for economy, from a environment point of view, from a safety point of view, and from a legal adherence point of view. So therefore, there are a lot of changes, and focus is also on sustainable energy. Sustainability is important, green energy and all that, and integrated mobility, global supply chain. We are seeing what happened in China during COVID-19 has an impact on most of the other industries, and we have seen a lot of organizations, especially manufacturing plants, mineral plants and all that, going for a bit of disruption, and they're still coming to terms with this. So, and future finance is also undergoing a change. Banking is faceless banking, virtual banking, fintech, financial technologies stepping in and looking at what are the other opportunities that, so that the consumers and the experience is better, and there is a seamless integration. And finally, health. A lot of industries are looking at, including defense and security, lifelong health, better health, both physical and mental. A lot of organizations are focusing on it, and this is what is initiating a change. As a result of that, we see transformation leading into both digitalization and digitization, ultimately leading into what is important for the life is trust, safety, and security. And this is common across, and this is what organizations are looking at. So net technology can be an enabler, and technology is the one which can ensure the trust, safety, security cutting across some of these components. Then if we look at it, when we talk about SAP and S4HANA, typically we also talk about industry best practices, industry solutions. ECC is built on multiple, you need to have multiple instances to address industry solutions. And we have seen that cross-industry best practice leverage was not happening because of the database, and also because of the logic that how they have been built and all that. So S4HANA, one of the important advantages is that you can cross leverage the industry best practices, and there is an opportunity to leverage that. So that is a trigger, but the trigger is basically because the industry boundaries are blurring, and we see a lot of cross utilization and business models being evolving over a period of time, and that is what is also a trigger for building probably an intelligent ERP or a digital enterprise solution kind of a thing. So looking at the new business models, we see load balancing and demand side management is one side of the automotive, whereas they're making cars, selling cars, finance cars, service cars. Now probably they have to ensure that it gets automatically updated, it communicates directly with the manufacturer for any errors and any kind of upgrades and all that. So that's one. And now there could be an opportunity, a greater opportunity emerging in terms of picking up the data and monetizing the data on the mobile platform side and on the mobile active, rather on the move. So that is another piece. So taking a cue from all these things, there is a development that can happen. Now, correlating to the COVID-19 situation, this is from IDC, and bottom you have the source and all that. So what IDC says is that economic situation during 2024 evolves over a period of time. COVID crisis has focused investments in terms of business continuity. How do we ensure that people work remotely? How do they support investment on hardware, software, and the services was relatively limited, and services was relatively limited. It's like lights on kind of a scenario. As economy slowed down and a lot of hits being taken by industry because of the COVID lockdowns and all that, there was focus on cost optimization. At some point in time, we've seen countries flattening the curve and addressing the concern. Of course, there is a resurgence of second wave and fear of second wave and all that is there. But if things go well with this unprecedented situation, there will be a bit of recession and resilience, which is focusing on limited investments, etc. And then when we go on to the growth path, targeted investments and addressing the requirements which are important in terms of robotic process automation, IoT, machine language algorithms and all that. So there is always a digital side of it, so that automation takes front seat and other investments will also come into picture. Then look at the new normal will be making the enterprise future proof. So this is what IDC was talking about, 5-stage model to enterprise recovery. This is illustration. Basically, the theme here is that technology enables transformation to next normal, and the system integrators, the software providers, the OEMs, and the hyperscalers, cloud, hardware, and everybody for that matter. They have to collaborate, address the requirements of the business, and business should also ensure that the new normal requires further investments, and chosen targeted investments will take them to a further growth path. So it's never a downward curve. It will be a U, or probably a stretched U will be the curve that will emerge, and this will be in the next 4 to 5 years. So this is what IDC is saying, and what IDC is saying, probably I'll keep few pointers to the next section, which is a correlation to the first one. So what is that we talked about? Business transformation is happening. Industry is looking at a lot of other things. There is cross industry best practices that needs to be picked up. We are seeing the business models emerging, and in the process, COVID-19 has come in, and is this a totally a downward slope, or there is a brighter future down the line? So correlating it to it, SAP on its website says very clearly with the 2020 release that one go live every business hour, every business day. So if we have to believe that, and we have to believe that there is work and there was continuity, system integrators like Kellton and others and consultants, the business side of the customer, the IT side of the customer, everybody is working, and we are able to get to terms with remote working, and we could collaborate, and the productivity was improved rather in a way, and rather sustained, and ensured that there is remote go live of the important ERP solution. So that's an important message that we have. And if we have to take probably a couple of steps, during 2008, there was a version of cloud. You all know cloud has got 4 versions. Every time they release it in February, May, August, and November, they call it as 25811, and that's how they would like to consider every quarter a release, middle of the quarter typically. The first week of the quarter they release, and they're able to release it, and they built it during the COVID situation. You know, February's release has been done, they picked it up, and then March onwards we all had COVID, and people started working. So the major work has been done, and the product has been released, and the newer product will be getting released in the month of November. So net, the OEM is able to sustain, the product development teams are able to sustain, product development are contributing, so we can take a cue from there. Then last week, same time, 2020, now onwards it's calling it as YYY. Previously it was called as YYMM, like 1909, 1809, 1709, 1610. So 2016, October, September 2017, September 2018, September 2019. Now onwards, they are saying that it will have a year number. So 2020, next year it will be 2021, and following 2022. So that version got released, built and released a major part of it during the COVID. So that's a good news. And SAP is saying that 14,600 customers, out of which 7,400 plus are already gone live. And SAP is also saying that customers on cloud, 75% of the customers on the cloud who have planned to go live Q2 2020 have gone live. So that's also good news. So net, what is that we are saying? We are saying that work is there, activity is happening, people got terms, and remote working is contributing to the SAP ecosystem. That's the key takeaway. And SAP also acquired a company, Amersys, to improve omni-channel engagement and personalization capabilities. So acquisitions happening, integration happening, and developments are happening, and execution is happening, planning and execution is happening. So net, it's a real, I can't say business as usual, but business is moving slowly but steadily towards growth. Then if I take the cue from the earlier slide where we talked about a 5-stage model from an economic recovery point of view, what are the key things that it is saying? If I have to take 4 important points, if I have to take 3-4 important points, what are those? It says that SAP partner opportunity, that means everybody, customer has to give that, take that opportunity of upgrading, and that is possible. And today it is 141 billion, and that will be almost getting closer to a double, so 260 billion. So there is growth, and the forecast model of IDC is very robust. They have they do a lot of research and all that, and they're able to communicate this and document this, and this has been sponsored by SAP, no doubt, but that's what is the important message. So we don't need to be really think bad about this. So future looks good. That's the message. The growth will be on cloud also. So many a time we have a feeling that whether SAP cloud has really taken off. It has, okay. But again, there are a lot of scope related activity we need to understand. There are limitations that we need to understand, and we, in order to take a informed decision, we need to really do a deep dive, and we should get those insights both from our reading and learning and the experience of working closely with the SAP's team, both the pursuit team and also pre-sales, sales, and the SAP labs, which develops the product. So it's very, very important to have that kind of an understanding. Then when it comes, okay, if the business is doing well, what is that for me as a consultant? Okay, the currently SAP ecosystem is employing about 1 million workers. We are all IT workers. So there is an opportunity of 60% growth in the next 4-5 years. So that's what it is saying. Out of that, there will be 280K net new consultant roles. Okay, and that means there is an opportunity for the skill upgrade, and the roles, new roles will get merged into the activity that we are currently doing. And then if we get upskilled and if we show interest in certain other aspects other than the ones which we are currently working, it will help, and it will, the languidity of our work will be improved. So you will have a better future if we invest on ourselves. That's the key message. So that's the only slide I have here. Quickly moving on. This is a question typically customers will be asking, both SAP and also system integrators, etc. This is one slide. I like it basically because SAP has conducted this webinar some time ago, and there is a mention about these 10 points, which will sum it up totally. And then the below message is from the CEO of SAP. Basically, it says that it's not a technology transformation, it's a business transformation. And S4HANA is not a natural successor to SAP ECC. This is a message, you might have heard it umpteen times. So it has been built ground up. They have invested very much on multiple other solutions and started building the whole code base on HANA as a database. And that has taken off into initially as simple finance and subsequently into enterprise management, which is a combination of finance and logistics. And today we find a lot of other product related features getting embedded into it, be it transport management, be it APO components, SCM, SRM, and all that. So slowly SAP is building this as a core solution, not just an ERP solution. So net, that's the message. As a result of that, we find a lot of things which are possible in SAP S4HANA, be it robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, they call it as intelligent ERP today, and the innovation that can happen in terms of cross-industry best practices, certain predictive capabilities. I'll also list out that, highlight that, even from a financial accounting and margin analysis, which is a profitability and responsibility accounting related concept, which we can look at it, and new business processes have been embedded into it, predictive capabilities built into it. So everywhere, and it's a Globalization, broadest basically because from a strategy point of view, a lot of country related functionality is being looked at. Best practices can be implemented for a particular country. You can only download a particular country. That do not mean that it cannot be extended to others and all that. So there is always, and best practice content has been standardized. It addresses not only ERP specific, but today it talks about data migration related, it talks about analytics, it also talks about many other integration aspects, etc. So best practice platform has been extended. There is a lot of depth into it, and high integration has been brought into it, and you can look at that. I'll also show you that, I will highlight that. Then SAP Cloud Integration is an open platform. That means it is adopting the strategy of Apple, wherein it says that I don't need to build everything, partners can build. And if you wanted to do any kind of unique requirements to be met through a custom solution and a customization, build it on a cloud platform, leverage that, or use a partner solution, take it up, etc. Then it also enables you to provide the flexible extension framework. And ultimately, how do you implement this? So they built Activate methodology in terms of Agile, a bit of Agile or a hybrid Agile. That's how we have to call it as. And then the value management has been highlighted in terms of running the best processes for the best of the class. And finally, some of the solutions can be embraced through hybrid in terms of your enterprise solution, your corporate solution can be on-premise, and some of the specific country-wide or business unit-wide, we call it as line of business, can be on the cloud. So you can have a cloud app integrating with the HANA on-premise, and you can still get a seamless integration. And that's what, so within a vibrant innovation focused system has been built. That's why S4HANA picks up the value. So net, we already covered industry best practices, line of business coverage, finance, supply chain, logistics, etc. Intelligence automation has been brought in. That's why even RPA is called as IRPA, Intelligent Robotic Process Automation. A lot of focus is on automation, and there are list of forms which have been developed in the recent ones, and how they will help, and how the automation can help in terms of reducing the manual intervention. And as long as you have those thresholds built into the system, it can automatically complete the activity. High security and compliance and legal compliance, regulatory compliance is important, be it taxation, be it regulation related access, security, all that is more robust. And there is a change in the security vis-a-vis ECC S4HANA, that all we need to understand. And heavy investment is there on Fury and some screen personas, etc. But Fury, both fact-based analytical applications, there is focused investment that's being done on embedded analytics, leveraging the SAP Analytics Cloud and all that, as we already spoke about openness and extensibility. Net SAP is slowly coming to terms, though it's called as one code line. There are differences, but again, harmonization is happening. Data model is being invested across all the solutions that are coming in, either from HANA Cloud or any premise. Semantics are one, then user experience is one. So that's what is the theme. SAP has a cloud, and a cloud, again, if we relate our past, public cloud and private cloud. Today, public cloud is called as Essential Edition, and private cloud is called as Extended Edition, that is predominantly built on the HANA Enterprise Cloud. Public cloud is a multi-tenant one, and those are the two options that customers can look at it. And then it now calls it on-premise as any premise, because you don't need to have you can always take a cue from some of the hyperscalers, which provide the scale in and scale out and scale up opportunities. So people can need not have on-premise version within their own data center. They can look at some of the data center and hosting capabilities of some of these cloud offering organizations, be it AWS, be it Microsoft, Google, and Alibaba Cloud, and there are many others will be coming in. So net, SAP is investing on lines of business, operational focus, generating operational data. But again, when you see people using a ERP will be looking at experience, and the experience is very, very important. Experience of a customer, experience of an employee, so that the proliferation of the ERP will be much higher. Product should also have certain features and brand. All these things generate an experience, and SAP is investing on it, and SAP calls S4HANA as the intelligent ERP because it's a combination of that. It also uses the methodology of online transaction processing and analytical processing by building analytics out of S4HANA, and leverages some of the database and application development integration that we already spoke in the previous slides. So net, what would be the difference? The difference is from a user experience point of view, digital age user wants everything on any device. That's expectation. Embedded capabilities, business context enabled information. We call it as awareness. Productivity and adoption should be increased in terms of any device, any of the tools, and there is no training. If you see, we never get any training on leveraging some of the Samsung phone or Apple phone. As soon as a new functionality comes, we just press yes, 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 done. After that, you can use it. So nobody takes any coaching class to install WhatsApp or any other social media apps or something like that. So why should anybody invest time to know certain things beyond a point on SAP? So SAP is also investing on that. That's the what is called objective. The second is that automation. A lot of organizations are pressing for automation, and human intervention should be minimized. And human intervention is only with regard to analyzing the things and picking up the insights and taking a decision rather than enabling it. So that's the focus. Then ultimately, business process. Because of all these things, business process are also undergoing a change, and next generation business process in terms of dynamic pricing of retail goods. And as soon as you log into a particular website and a portal rather, be it Amazon, be it any other one, Walmart or any other one, and you will be able to see the price. And I've seen people closely observing, and they will know when the price has been reduced and at what point in time, and then they will be able to complete the sale. So you can do that kind of what is called as settings done, and you will get those alerts, and based on the alerts you can also react. So similar things should also be there in an industry or in an organizational activity too. So that's one of the example, and you can pick it up later. So net, if that is the case, then SAP ECC customer has to go with S4HANA at some point in time. Majority of you already know that 2025 is the 31st December 2025 was the last, and SAP said that we will not be supporting any more ECC, and if at all you need support, probably you have to get into an individual contract with SAP, and SAP stopped selling some of the ECC licenses in many countries. So net S4HANA is the way forward for all. So all SAP customers, prospects, S4HANA is the way forward. If that's the case, at some point in time, they have to go. I was talking about 2025. We all know it has been extended to 2027. Probably it will be further extended thanks to COVID. But every organization that is on SAP ECC has to look at S4HANA, if not today, later tomorrow. The next question is that, what is that I have to do? So the next point is that system conversion. Can I upgrade, migrate myself to S4HANA? Then what is going to happen? You have to reuse existing implementation, complete a copy of the configuration. You have to roll out innovation sequentially and over a period of time. And you have to look at a plan with regard to that. So you may have some historical baggage. Some bad code may still come in. There are tools which will ensure that it is all cleaned up, but still you may get it. So that could be a logical conclusion. So organizations are evaluating, am I a good candidate for conversion? New implementation sounds great, but you have to go back. If you are an IT leader in the organization, with what face you will go back to business and say that we would like to reinvent ourselves? And then you may not really get a business case, and that's where there is struggle unless until both business and IT understands and there is a compelling business case built in, and they decide that yes, we can go with a new implementation. There is an option called as a hybrid option. Typically, SAP calls it as selective data transition. You can do what we call it as a large instance into a single instance. Multi-SAP ERP instance environment can be brought into one, and that could be in S4HANA. You can do that as a part of your financials or part of your organizational enterprise solution. There are ways and means of doing it, and there is a possibility of combining both brownfield and greenfield, new implementation system conversion in terms of data, in terms of configuration and all that. A bit of redesign can happen, but you still keep history in S4HANA. So it requires at some point in time some of the SAP licensed tools, SLO services and all that, but that's what it is. But the play is majorly between the brownfield and greenfield, and SAP gives you almost equal, rather SAP go lives are rather 50-50 kind of a scenario, and greenfield implementation is for larger organizations which have a baggage, and they would like to take an opportunity of revisiting and reinventing themselves. And that's what it is. So they need help. I know customer needs help. There are tools, SAP Readiness Check, SAP Pathfinder, Transformation Navigator, all that. Probably in the next session, we will highlight on that. We'll focus on that, how each of them will be useful. But we will be able to help the customer by generating some of them, by guiding, directing them, and generating that, and deciphering that, and translating that, giving a summation of that, and sharing the observations, etc. So we will be able to do that. So this is the whole gamut. So what is the choice to move towards SAP S4HANA? If I have to put it in 4 different buckets, it should be aligned to the business objects. The business objects are goals, which are specific to business model innovation, business process optimization, ERP rapid modernization. Okay, so critical 3 important points. The organization has to dwell on this. They have to deliberate. It's not the system integrator. System integrator plays a catalyst role, but business and IT of the customer has to understand, and they have to come out openly, their observations and their perceptions, feelings, etc. We will elicit that and translate that into our guidance or our advisory. Then what are the transition path? We already spoke about that at length. Then what is the destination? Where do we want it to move? Can we move on to cloud? Can we move on to S4HANA on-premise? Rather any premise at this point in time. So what is the destination? Cloud first strategy, and continuing the on-premise because it provides you certain flexibility in terms of using some of the heavy built custom solutions over a period of time. So you may still wanted that to be and address your unique business requirements. Probably you have to ask that question yourself, how much unique I am, and what is that the best practice can't address. So this is again a kind of introspection, and accordingly people have to take a decision, but we can help. Okay, we can help and ensure you based on our smart questionnaire and interactions that we will be able to have, not only one individual, but lines of business, finance, logistics, specific sales, procurement, manufacturing, supply chain, and all that. And we will be talking to multiple stakeholders, the business related challenges, pain points, wish list, and ultimately come out with what is best for them. And we will be able to gather that insight and give you an informed decision so that your movement onto the destination application will be meaningful. And finally, destination infrastructure. Okay, fine. You can opt for an on-premise solution because you were using it for the last decade or couple of decades and you're comfortable with that. You have still some doubts. Fine, no problem. Still, you can embark on public cloud that is called as hyperscalers, Microsoft Azure, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and all that. So we can help you what is best, and we are already declared ourselves as one of the premier partners of AWS, and we can bring value with regard to that. And then there could be other data centers, SAP certified data centers, and then customer data center too, and that can be leveraged. So we will be able to advise on that. So how do we do that? What is that we as a company do? We are partners of the SAP, as we already spoke about, Gold Partnership, PCOU, which is PCOE is a very important certification. From time to time, we go through SAP audit and SAP certifies us, and that helps and motivates us to stand before the customers and able to get opportunities of managing systems of the PCOE partners. So that's very, very important for us. And we also partners of the Move Clan, and we can help do an assessment. As I mentioned, am I a good candidate for greenfield, brownfield? And similarly, we will be able to help you in the transition of that. We have partners in the relationship and a strong SAP and a strong AWS relationship or any other cloud. So we will be able to give you an all-encompassing license hyperscale implementation support. We have taken customer to S/4HANA 1511 and then subsequently help them on to upgrade and incremental innovations. Now we are implementing some of the standard Fury apps and leveraging some of the RPA capabilities too. So that's what we do. And we do ECC advisory consulting, and there are customers who would like to have cloud first strategy. They say that cloud first strategy need not necessarily end in S/4HANA. So they would like to move on to cloud, probably onto the HANA database, and then take a pause, get themselves ready, build a business case, ensure that they have their data and some of the processes, and they also prioritize their innovations and they can move on. So we can help on that too. And that's what we typically do. So we do a discovery and assessment over a period of 3 weeks typically. And we do all these activities which are very, very important. We help generate some of the SAP reports. We have tools, but we rely more on SAP so that the credibility is established and customer teams also understand how important. And SAP has invested heavily and upgrading some of these tools in terms of migration. And we help customers, and ultimately we advise customer on multiple other things, master data, customer objects, add-ons, help advise them on chart of accounts, information lifecycle management in terms of archiving, nearline storage, how much data they can bring in, then testing, training, and what would be the downtime and how do we address this, etc., etc. So net, we do this over a period of 3 weeks, and this will be both a combination of on-site, offshore. Now it's all remote, but still, okay, it's valid. And then advise the customer whether they are a good candidate for brownfield, greenfield. And we have done it multiple times. Advised customer who said that I am opting for greenfield, saying that you are a good candidate for conversion because of ABCD reasons. And you think you have a lot of custom objects. They're not, they're remediable. You think there is a lot of customization. No, the customization is very minimal and remediable, and certain features can be accessed, or rather certain features can be activated leverage from S4HANA so that your current customization can go off all that. So net, that's the advisory that we will be able to provide. Then this is what I was talking all through. So I may not really do that. Probably next 7-8 minutes, I'll focus on S4HANA on-premise, which is now called as any premise highlights. 2020 has been released on 7th of October. As I mentioned, it will be YYY. So please be note. Okay, please note this and be careful about this. So 2020, 2021, 2022. However, FPS 1 will come in the middle. FPS 2 will come in the next, and that's what we'll be addressing. And each of the future investment will happen in the FPS 1 and 2, and subsequently it will move into what we call it as support stack kind of a thing. So this is the release now. Then what this release is doing, it's investing on digital age user experience, next generation processes as we talk about technology and innovation, and it is leveraging machine language capabilities, investing on robotic process automation, etc. So intelligent ERP scenarios can be found in every line of business. What are they? So for example, there is an investment or additional investment on advanced availability to promise, transport management functionalities have been improved, sourcing procurement has been improved. There are investments on service management, finance. There is something called as general ledger accounts as bank accounts, highlight financial risk with treasury analytics. So analytical apps have been invested. Yeah. So there are best practices. Sorry for that. Okay, so there are best practices, SAP best practices. Every time SAP best practices is building new scope items, there are 43 new scope items, 85 change scope items, complete item scope is 315. You can go through that, identify which is relevant for the particular country, for the particular business. Net in the last implementation, we have advised the customer to embrace about 45-50. We saw a fitment of almost 95%. So we said these are the best practices that we need to embrace. So we can advise that. And probably if I have to show you that, this is the website. Okay, this is the one. Let me log in one more time. Okay, so we are on, you're able to see my screen, right, Jitin?
Yep.
Okay, so if you see here, this is the learning room, and people who would like to get themselves upgraded, updated from time to time, they can look at S4HANA Overview Learning Room. And if you click here, learning content search is there, and your learning content search triggers what we call it as and there are multiple what is called as S4HANA specific information, demonstrable, and you can demonstrate to your customers. You can see that as part of your internal training. And if you click here, it will take you to the course, and this course is a self-explanatory. Just take an example of sales quotation. It talks about creating sales quotation, changing sales quotation, rejecting. So there is a customer scope presentation which talks about a few hundred sites, and it talks about each of the best practice, lists out what it is, etc. It also talks about SAP Node, process steps, business roles, and all that. So you have depth of information and a lot of information. The depth of it is available, and it talks about all these things. Okay, and you can really go through one by one, be it master data of controlling, master data of FI, pre-configuration, and all that. Okay, I already downloaded few. I will probably show you some of them. The best practices portal info S4HANA, for example, organization data, master data. Let's go. What is the master data that they have? Yeah, it talks about suppliers. It talks about customers. Again, best practice customers. You can look at some of them. Enable editing, contracts, work centers. So there is a huge list that's available to really view what is very, very important. Okay. Work centers and all that. So you have a list, at least you have a baseline. You also have information available in terms of for what of which of the modules and which of the best practice that we need to leverage, etc. I'll probably close this. Then there is something called as, I'll close this. There is something called as what's new viewer, and you can look at SAP S4HANA what's new, and what it basically does is not, this is what it is. So you're able to see my screen, right, Jatin?
Yep, yep. We are able to.
Yeah. Thank you. So if you look at it, I have short, okay, what I did is that I have taken line of business finance, solution area management accounting, solution capability, profitability and cost analysis. There is something called as margin analysis, which enables you to leverage both costing based profitability analysis and also account based profitability analysis, a combination. That's why they're calling it as margin analysis. It's in built. And if you look at the categories, okay, what I highlighted is new, type is new, and I am highlighting them basically because I wanted you to understand that, okay, one is a business process, it's a new business process. So what is the new business process? The new business process is an integration with SAP Concur and finance in S4HANA now allows you to use information from travel request and expense reports point of view. So this is the information that you will get it straight from this particular document, and it is downloadable in Excel. It's downloadable as PDF. Leverage that, go through, highlight, and take the advice or give the advice, whichever way you would like to address it from a business point of view. I think I'll stop here. Any questions or any of the observations, I'll be able to take it up. I'll stop sharing. Okay, let me. Yeah, so one typical question is that how do I access it? Yeah, you need to have S user ID to access it. S user ID is important. These days, SAP is also enabling you to use one of your personal ID, which will be a lifetime ID. It gets integrated with your S user ID of the company. If you have already worked in a couple of companies in the last few years, it will allow you to merge both of that so that any certification, any of the pursuits that you have done with SAP, all that will be listed out. So kindly get that and kindly get this universal ID. They call it as universal ID can be tagged to your personal email ID so that you don't need to have one more SAP user ID going forward. So that's the beauty of this, and you will access this information anytime. Go through this information because it's very, very important, and it helps you to upgrade from the current skill set point of view. Uh, Probably the next one is with regard to, do we charge for the assessment? Yeah, we do charge. But typically what we do is that we give that as a credit if the project is awarded to us. We can get into the details of that. But yes, we charge for 3 weeks of assessment. We do a comprehensive assessment. It's not just one individual doing it. We cover the lines of business. We also cover the technical, both the basis side of it and also application technology point of view, integration technology point of view, all that. So we will be able to give a comprehensive advice based on that. You can go forward, and we will, if you show those results to any of the okay, we are okay for even an SAP audit, and we will be able to do it. So we will be doing a good job on that particular front. And typically we give credit to the customer once the project is awarded to us. SAP S/4HANA 2020 information will be available as we move forward. SAP has not yet planned any webinars comprehensively giving insight into typically the documents call it as L0, L1, L2. It is, I think it's preparing those documents and all that. Down the line, they're doing it. And SAP Innovation Day is also planned from an S4HANA perspective, and also lines of business for finance and logistics. I would encourage people to join. Then SAP is also conducting a couple of courses on Open SAP platform. The key technical functionalities for conversion and also key functional topics for conversion. Those two courses are very, very important, critical. I think second week is work in progress, but still you can pursue. You don't need to pursue it for the sake of an achievement or certification, but it will really help, and the documentation is quite solid and really, really useful. I'll stop here. Over to you, Jatin. Thank you.
Yep, Dr. Bandi, thank you so much. For the audience, if we do not have the time to answer your question, we will respond to those either via email. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email us by responding to the email address on your webinar invite, and we will respond to you promptly. As I mentioned earlier, we will be sending out the recorded version of this webinar in the next few days. Thank you again for joining us. You have been a fantastic audience. If you would like to start any new conversation, please email us at ask@keltontech.com or visit our website www.keltontech.com. Bye-bye and have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you.